4 foods that increase your risk of cancer. Approximately 39.5% of all adult men and women in the world will develop cancer at some point in their lives. At least 30% of these will lose their battle with the disease. Stay tuned to find out how you can avoid being a part of that statistic. Hey Hapthies! You may not realize it, but there are certain foods we consume regularly that have been linked with increasing our risk of getting cancer. In today's video, we will be discussing such unhealthy diets so you may make better lifestyle choices. When looking around for healthy food options, you may have come across several knowledgeable articles and videos about some foods that fight cancer. But there is just not enough material available out there to warn you about what you should be avoiding. Cancer is a complex and relentless disease. There are various reasons why a person can develop it, as well as a variety of types that could affect you. Because of the complexity of the disease, it is still a major gray area for scientists. All that we know for sure is that many different factors contribute to the formation of cancerous cells in the body, one of these being the type of diet a person consumes. Statistically, it has been proven that up to 90% of all malignant tumors are formed due to external factors like lifestyle choices and diet, rather than genetics and family history. As always, stay tuned for a bonus fact at the end, and please remember to subscribe if you enjoy the video. Alcoholic beverages. Consuming anything in excessive amounts can have major consequences for the body. This is especially true for alcohol. In addition to being linked to serious conditions like heart disease, liver failure, diabetes, and alcohol poisoning, it is also responsible for causing many different types of cancer, all of them being equally dangerous for your well-being. Due to this, alcohol has been classified as a Group 1 carcinogen, which means there have been significant studies that suggest that consuming it regularly can massively increase the risk of cancer in humans. When alcohol is consumed by the body, the liver kicks into action by trying to break its compounds down, which results in the production of acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde is a well-known carcinogenic compound, the presence of which significantly boosts the production of cancerous cells in the body. In a study conducted in 2017, it was discovered that the compound is also responsible for promoting oxidative stress and causing damage to our DNA. It also hinders the immune system's ability to function properly, which can make cancerous and precancerous cells in the body go undetected. Alcohol consumption is particularly responsible for increasing the risk of breast, bowel, throat, esophagus, liver, mouth, and stomach cancers. A lot of this risk, however, fluctuates with the amount of alcohol you consume. While having an occasional glass of wine may not have much of an effect, frequenting the bar till late into the night will add up over time and you may end up with the disease. Alcohol can significantly increase the risk of breast cancer, especially in women. This is because it was observed to increase the levels of estrogen in the female body. This can cause estrogen receptor-positive breast cancer in women if they are not careful. Processed meats. Another food that is regarded by the World Health Organization as a Group 1 carcinogen is processed or smoked red meats. This is because substantial evidence has come to light linking meats prepared in such a manner with increasing the risk of causing cancer in humans, especially colorectal and stomach cancers. Processed meats are usually smoked, cured, salted, or canned to extend their shelf life. These types of meats include things like hot dogs, sausages, beef jerky, salami, and corned beef, etc. According to a study in 2018, curing meats with nitrite increases the risk of creating carcinogens such as N-nitroso compounds. The process of smoking some meats may also lead to an increased presence of PAHs, or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, another known carcinogen. The International Agency of Research on Cancer, or IARC, notes that consuming just 50 grams of such processed meats each day can increase the risk of cancer development by up to 18%. To put it into perspective, just one hot dog can contain around 50 grams of processed meat. It is recommended that if you must consume processed meats, it is important to limit it to just one serving per week to mitigate the negative effects of the food. Additionally, doctors also recommend limiting your intake of red meats such as lamb, beef, veal, and goat, since they have also been associated with elevated risks of cancer. Having more than 3 servings of red meat is considered excessive by the American Institute of Cancer Research. They recommend that according to studies, the ideal amount of red meat consumption per week is under 350 to 500 grams. Processed and red meats have a high amount of carcinogens and mutagens that damage the DNA and increase the risk of cancer. When these meats are exposed to high heat, they also release compounds such as heterocyclic amines, which have been classified as carcinogens. Foods and beverages high in sugar. Unsurprisingly, sugar is responsible for causing a long list of dangerous diseases which include several types of cancers. Studies have concluded that sugar acts as one of the primary fuel sources of all types of cancer cells. Consuming it in excessive amounts can result in the rapid growth of these cells and eventually form a malignant tumor in the body. As a result, it is suggested to limit or completely suspend the intake of sugar and refined carbohydrates to starve the body and, as an extension, these cancerous cells of their primary fuel source. Many doctors recommend that people suffering from cancer should consider converting to a ketogenic diet for this purpose. A ketogenic diet requires you to limit your carbohydrate intake to 10% of all caloric intake and to increase fat consumption by at least 70%. This diet has shown to be an effective method to delay the spread of cancer. Some examples of food containing excess sugar and refined carbs include things like cereals, white bread, baked goods, and drinks like sodas. Foods that share these characteristics have been linked with increasing the risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Both of these conditions are scientifically proven to promote the development of oxidative stress and inflammation. These symptoms can increase the risk of developing certain types of cancers. For example, a study in 2019 concluded that people suffering from type 2 diabetes are at an elevated risk of developing endometrial, breast, and ovarian cancers. Additionally, high blood glucose levels and excessive consumption of refined carbs can also increase the risk of colorectal cancer significantly, according to a study conducted in 2017. Due to these reasons, any foods that have a high glycemic index should be avoided at all costs for people suffering from or at risk of the disease. Packaged or canned foods. Foods that have been packaged or canned to extend their shelf life, just like processed foods, are highly complicit in increasing the risk of several types of cancers. Microwavable foods, like popcorn, for example, have been identified to contain harmful compounds that are linked to cancer development. One such chemical they contain was called PFOA. It was used to coat the inside of popcorn bags and cans, but it was such a potent carcinogenic that the FDA had to step in and ban the chemical in 2006. Alarmingly, though, it was discovered that the chemicals which replaced PFOA as a coating for packaged foods also contained cancer-causing compounds. A 2018 study conducted by the British Medical Journal found significant correlations between packaged foods like baked goods, fizzy sodas, cereals, ready-made meals, and processed meats with an elevated risk of developing several different kinds of cancers. The study analyzed 104,980 adults with no prior health issues. It was found that just a 10% increase in the consumption of packaged or extremely processed foods resulted in a 12% increased risk of developing cancer overall, while also increasing the risk of breast cancer by 11%. Foods that have been excessively processed and packaged are also usually high in calories, saturated fat, sugar, and salt. All of these things increase the likelihood of obesity and, as a result, cancer. Most canned foods are also known to contain an extremely harmful compound called BPA. BPA has been identified to cause hormonal disruptions which are directly linked to the formation of cancer. As canned foods sit on shelves for extended periods, the BPA in the cans gets absorbed by the food and becomes one of the biggest causes of the disease when consumed. Now that we have talked about the foods that cause cancer, it is only fair that we tell you what to add to your diet for avoiding the disease. This means it is now time for your bonus fact, just as promised. Recently, several foods have been identified as containing bioactive compounds which work together to decrease the risk of cancer formation. Several types of berries like strawberries, raspberries, and blueberries have shown to possess these properties. Other foods and beverages like tomatoes, broccoli, and green tea have also proven to be adept cancer-fighting companions. In general, all doctors and nutritionists suggest that consuming a balanced diet full of fresh fruits and vegetables is the best way to go for helping boost cancer prevention. Plant-based diets are also highly recommended, while a Mediterranean diet which has very little sugar and contains a good balance of nutrients is regarded as one of the best options. Follow these guidelines and not only will you be cancer-free, but also significantly reduce the risk of several other life-threatening diseases that having a poor diet can cause. What you eat daily is a good scale of how happy your life is, so make the right choice. Which vegetables and fruit do you prefer the most? Please share your favorites in the comments below.